Today I'm going to share with you some of my tips and tricks for designing e-learning with great images, but focusing on quick turnaround time and not a lot of time editing and processing. And we're mainly going to be using PowerPoint to do that. Let's say we just want the flower and we don't want this blue background. I'm going to go up to Picture Tools and click Remove Background. It's kind of got this intelligent background selector. As I move the dimensions around, it kind of adjusts and recalculates and tries to guess what areas I'm trying to remove. I don't know how it exactly works, but I just usually keep moving this around till it gets pretty close. Here you can see we're about 95% there, but in between the petals there's some blue, and I really want to keep the stock of the plant. We've got this awesome feature that says Mark Area to Remove. I click on that and I can drag from point to point and tell it which areas to remove. It'll then turn those into background or transparency eventually. And I can even go in and mark areas to keep too, like the stalk of this plant. I'll draw it on there and it'll know to keep that. Super fast and efficient way to remove the background from any image. So when I go in to save it, I'll save it as a PNG so that transparency is preserved. And here I'm going to bring it in and put it on top of a blue rectangle so you can see its transparency in action. Now that we know how to remove the background, we can do some really cool things. First, I'll duplicate this image. I just hold down Control and drag again and it makes me a carbon copy. I'm going to remove the background from the one on the right and manipulate these two separately. So I'm going to use the Remove Background tool, let it do its little algorithm, and that looks pretty close. I'm going to zoom in, use the mark areas to keep, and get the spot around his head. This one's a little bit tricky because the background is so busy and there's not a really clear contrast between the two, but this tool still works really well. Okay, now the background's removed and I've just got my guy here. I now need to resize this so both images are the same size so they match up well. To do that, I'm just going to put it in the corner and stretch it all the way to the top. Okay, so now I have two images. One is the guy with the background removed sitting on top of the original image. So I'm going to crop my no background image. And now watch this. Now when I change the image underneath, I can change all sorts of things without changing the guy. I can make it black and white where he's color and he's popping out. I can kind of change the tone here, get a couple different looks and feels. I can use the artistic effects, make it kind of look like a cartoon scene or a hand-drawn picture. You could really blow it out that way. And then you can also change the picture on top of just our character here. I can change his exposure, his coloring, his lighting. I may want to make his whole silhouette white and show the background and display that as my image for my WBT. There are so many options when you layer them this way. We can make it look like a professional image here where our subject's in focus and the background is completely blown out of focus. And that draws the learner's eye to the character that we want. You can get super creative here and change the underlying image, change some of these 3D effects, and make it look like my character's popping out a little bit more. Anyway, the possibilities are endless. You just have to think about them as two separate images where you can here it kind of looks like a guy standing out of his picture and popping out, which is kind of cool. Now I select both images and right-click it and save it as an image. I can pull that into any other program now as this new image that I've created.